Today, I want to talk to you about the various medicinal uses of mullein. It's something that you probably still have time to forage for right now. If not, you can buy it in bulk online. We're going to talk about the medicinal uses, vast medicinal uses, and why you should have this wild foraged herb in your herbal apothecary this year. So stay tuned. Let's get started. Mullein is one of those herbs that once you learn what it is, you're never going to forget what it is. It's very noticeable. Once you know what it looks like, you're going to always know what it looks like. It's very unique in that it has big, long, fluffy, kind of soft leaves, kind of like lamb's ear would. And then once it's summertime, it'll shoot up this really long flower stalk straight up in the air. In fact, some people call the plant candlestick because it looks like a really tall stick just going straight up into the air with these little yellow flowers at the top of it. I've had mullein that I foraged for even taller than I am, depending on how old the plant is. Now, mullein is technically a biennial herb, which means it kind of grows every second year. And so the first year it'll just send off leaves. The second year it'll send up the actual candlestick-like shoot of flower stalk. So mullein is one of those easy to forage for herbs, and it's a great place to start for your herbal apothecary. In the late 19th century, a pharmaceutical study actually showed that mullein was used successfully and efficiently in treating tuberculosis. Studies show that 6 out of 7 patients were successfully treated for TB because of drinking or smoking mullein. Mullein has been used by cultures across the world for centuries, including Native Americans, Europeans, Israelis, and Asians. It can be found throughout desert regions like North Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, and beyond. In the Middle Ages, people used mullein not only for humans, but also for cattle health. They would smoke the mullein or use almost like a sage. You know how you do a sage, you burn sage. You would do mullein that way too for your cattle. I've not tried that myself, but I'd be interested to know if it actually does work. Now, mullein has a lot of different uses. It's most notably known as a respiratory aid. But there are a lot of other uses. We're going to go through a list really quickly. Mullein is antibacterial, and it works against both gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. And that's really important to note because with bacteria and herbalism, if you have an herb that works with only gram-positive bacteria, but you have a gram-negative bacteria, it's not going to work at all. So that is really important to know about this particular herb. It's a natural antiviral, it's a natural anti-inflammatory. It has anti-influenza properties, and we've seen that in certain studies done. It's an antioxidant, it's an anti-carcinogenic, which means that it helps with the inhibiting of the development of cancer. It helps treat pneumonia. We can see that with tuberculosis. It helps treat staph infection, E. coli. It's a natural expectorant, which means it releases mucus from the body, specifically the respiratory tract. It relieves asthma. A lot of people throughout generations have used it for asthma. It treats gout when used as a poultice, so on the outer layer of your skin. It's antispasmodic, which means it eases muscle spasms. It treats respiratory catarrhs, which is the buildup of mucus in your lungs and respiratory tract. It can ease that. It's a natural moisturizer, and because of the mucilage in it, it's a great natural moisturizer for your external skin. So it works externally the same way it does internally with the treatment of your mucous membranes. It relieves inflammation throughout your mucous membranes throughout your whole body. It is great for urinary tract issues. It helps treat the simplex herpes virus. It's even been known to treat foul plague virus, which is pretty interesting. And then it eases sore throats, gastrointestinal issues, and even helps with ear infections. Mullein oil works fabulously for ear infections. So with all of those things going on for mullein, it's a pretty good herb to keep on hand. Now, obviously, you would treat your body in multiple different ways depending on what is wrong with your body. And I've listed all of this information and how to use it, how to grow it, and how to harvest it on my blog in the link below. It's the very first link in the description of this video, and it can take you to my website. You can print all that information out if you want to, or you can just simply go through and read all of the information that I'm providing for you and more. There is even a smoking mullein recipe on the website. It does require you to get either the roll papers to smoke it or a pipe, but you can find them generally for about $20 or so. We don't recommend at all smoking mullein on a regular basis. It's only recommended for when you have an ailment, so no longer than 2 weeks, because any consistent smoking for years can actually damage your lungs. So we only do it when we need it because it actually helps heal the lungs in that situation. So mullein is one of those herbs with multiple benefits and multiple uses, and one of the reasons why you should have it in your apothecary. Now, in the blog post, I also link to multiple studies and multiple different things that we've talked about. There have been not a ton of studies done on mullein, but for those of you who geek out over evidence-based information, there are some links on there in different wording, like the tuberculosis link. We even have a few modern studies on that. Modern studies on asthma treatment and respiratory treatment. Now, mullein is most commonly taken as a tea, and that works fine. So I would recommend only taking mullein as a tea or as smoking it. You can do mullein tinctures, but then you lose the mucilage effect of that, the property of that. You're only extracting certain other properties, but you're not getting the whole herb. And I talk about that a lot with herbalism. When you're using an herb, if you're trying to treat the whole body, then you use the whole herb. If you're only trying to treat, let's say, an antibacterial, if you want the mullein to be an antibacterial, then you can go through and you can make your tincture or your glycerite or whatever. But when we're talking about specifically about membranes and mucus and the respiratory tract, with digestion issues, with urinary tract issues, we really want to make sure that we're getting that in a tea form, in a whole herb form, rather than just an extraction form, because the whole herb benefits your body more in certain situations than it does with some kind of extraction. So you can find mullein all over the place. You can find it in fields, along roadways. Let me caution you though, when you are harvesting it, there is a sustainable and a non-sustainable way to do that. Now, if you are in an area where there's just mullein as far as you can see, you can actually pull up the whole plant. You can keep the root. You can plant it where you are. You can save the root and make a tincture out of the root, which is what a lot of people do for certain ailments, whatever it is their, certain ailments are. Or you can just pull the leaves. And so it's best to pull the leaves off the plant, not all the leaves, of course, when it's early spring, late spring, before that plant shoots its stalk straight up into the air. That's the best time to harvest mullein, but it's okay to harvest mullein now in the summertime as well too. The leaves just won't be as full and thick as they would be in the springtime. Now, as you start seeing mullein dying back, you wouldn't want to grab that plant. You would want to grab the really vibrantly green, still flourishing plants. And then you want to leave some plants behind. That way they reseed every year and it's more of a sustainable wild foraging experience. Now, if you do want the root of the plant, then when the plant starts dying back, it sends back all of its medicinal hormones and properties down back into the root. That's the time you want to harvest the root completely, if you're only going for the root. And then what you can do is just kind of pull the plant head off and lay it on the ground, and it will kind of help self-seed itself for next year. You can store mullein in just an airtight container like this big mason jar. This is actually a few mullein plants after they've dried. So dried herbs, you need a lot of them to really last you. This could last us through winter if we don't get sick. But if we do get sick, I'm probably gonna have to get some more. So I'd really like a couple of jars of mullein. This is the one herb I love to keep on hand all winter long because of its amazing benefits for the respiratory tract. So I'll probably get another half-gallon jar full. Another word of caution, if you are gonna make a tincture or a glycerite, make sure you're measuring out by weight. I could push all of this down to here and fill it up with alcohol, but it's just best to weigh it out so you get the same efficacy every single time with your tinctures. And it's a 1-to-5 ratio, 1 part herb, 5 parts liquid, and you would do ounces or whatever it is you're doing. So I just wanted to caution you with that too. You can grow mullein in your garden or in your flower beds. It will take over if it reseeds. It can be invasive, but that's completely up to you. So I hope that you enjoyed learning all about mullein today. It was kind of a short speech there, but mullein has a lot of great properties, and you're going to find most of them in the whole herb property rather than an extraction, like an alcohol extraction. But I hope that you will go to my website and learn more there. There's a lot of information over there about mullein that you can find, and again, you can print it out. That way you have this information all of the time. Go and research some studies. As always, I tell you to research no matter what I teach you or what anyone else teaches you. Thanks for watching, guys. I do want to let you know I am still hard at work on creating the Homestead Herbalist course. I think we're going to be on track for a January 1st release. That is my goal. I thought I could get it done by fall, but there's just so much canning and preserving and wild foraging that I just haven't had time to really devote to getting the rest of it done. So looks like we're going to have a January 1st launch date. So I have linked in the description of this video a page where you can sign up to be the first to know when it launches, and that kind of just gauges for me how many people are interested in it as well, and how many things you're interested in learning. And so go ahead and check that out. Subscribe. It's a free subscription. I'm not going to spam your inbox. It's just for me to know who's interested and who wants to be the first to know when the course goes live. Thanks, guys, for watching. As always, happy wild foraging, happy herbing, and happy homesteading.